Good morning. Well, we had an absolutely fabulous round of meetings yesterday, I must say. But in the background, that's the old Parliament House and the War Memorial up the back. And around here, Black Mountain with the Telstra Tower on the top, and of course the magnificent Parliament House behind me that Bob Hawke, and what a great Prime Minister he was, stood up for Australia, knew what Australia was worth, knew what values Australians held. We had a wonderful round of meetings yesterday with defence personnel, absolutely stunning. The security issues around Australia and the fast-track renewable build are huge, but I'll get to that in a minute. And we met with a lot of the National Party members, Anne Webster, Matt Canavan, and I saw Kevin Hogan at work in the chamber. I really like Kevin. He's standing up for rural Australia. Net zero, the federal nationals are get rid of net zero. It's not in the national interest. I totally 100% agree with him. The Victorian Nats are dilly-dallying around. They've got to get out and say, drop net zero. It's not in the national interest. But more importantly, the defence people, what they said. Strategically, I continue to ask, why are we buying foreign components to build on farmland? He's not too concerned about foreign-built wind turbines and solar farms. What he was really concerned about was food security. Every question he asked was about food security. What's the impact of the lack of fertiliser in Australia? How much food are we going to not produce? He was really interested on agricultural production from a strategic defence position of Australia. I totally 100% agree with him. Fuel security, fertiliser security is extremely important. We can't be covering up vast tracts of agricultural land with solar panels and not have food security. Peter Jennings is his name, really fascinating guy, one of the best strategic thinkers about defence in Australia, absolutely amazing. But what I thought I'd think about and leave you with, we've got the CCP operating on a sub-national level in Victoria, in local government. This is not suitable for Australia. Australia must operate with a single perspective, a single vision. We cannot have the Chinese Communist Party operating a Victorian government. Daniel Andrews, hang your head in shame. Jacinta Allen, hang your head in shame. Ben Carroll, hang your head in shame. This is just totally wrong, cannot happen. I think there's going to be directives from the National Parliament. In relation to mineral sands and rare earth, we talked about Avonbank Mine. The ownership of mineral sands mining is really under review by this government and forcing divestment. The Northern Minerals investors have been forced to sell. So far, the Northern Minerals investors have said to the government, bugger off, we're not doing it. Avonbank Mine, I think, is another rare earth mine that should be told that it cannot be owned by foreign powers. This is not in Australia's best interests. It's not in our best interests. It's not in future generations' best interests. We must take leadership and take control of our resources. Thank you very much. It's Ross Johns here. Been really enjoying Canberra from the National Capital. Enjoy your day. From the Wimmera Mallee Environmental and Agricultural Protection Association. Enjoy your day.
And thank you, Ross. Fired up this morning in the capital of circles, isn't it? And always cold. We went through there on our way to Cooma, and it was well, on the outskirts where all the sex shops were. What's the place called? Anyway, we didn't go there, by the way. We just kept driving quickly because I'm pure. I don't want to get tarnished with those things. Good morning. The old lungs are a bit buggered this morning, as we would say in the bush. But I'll get through it. I've got Andrew Thaler coming up shortly. He'll remove any piece of goodness in me. And maybe, no, I'm just joking. Before we get into our show, I just want to go through some of the things that are happening around the world and Australia. Australian hospitals, by the way, according to all reports, are on the brink of disaster as healthcare workers say enough is enough. One of the world's biggest car makers has decided enough is enough also, and has launched a dramatic fight back against China's EV threat. And they do have an advantage because in this country, the absolute idiotic government and the climate change believers have said that you've got to have EVs, all the emissions, the targets you're setting for. I mean, sure, you can have a car that runs on petrol or diesel, but it can't have any fumes. There must be no emissions. I mean, all that sort of stuff. It's just absolutely appalling, isn't it? If you think about it, this governments and the nitwits that believe that climate change is a real thing. It just shows you that maybe they've been sniffing something or drinking something or smoking something or all three. They've come up with the conclusion that climate change is real. And it's not. We all know that. Now, Australia's news bargaining incentive with the Albanese government says, because this is quite interesting, says it will force social media and technology giants to cough up for local news media because it's going to be introduced into Parliament despite industry leaders warning the changes would gut the scheme. Now, and finally, in cricket, Scott Boland, just because every year he's a hero, and every year he gets overlooked for either Mitchell Starc or Josh Hazlewood. Now, Josh Hazlewood, I mean, he's a good bowler. He's been out for over a year, though. And they've chosen Josh Hazlewood over Scott Boland for the third fast bowler spot in Australia's team for the first test in Darwin against Bangladesh. It's going to be an exciting game. Actually, I think Bangladesh are a much, much, much better side than they used to be. And wasn't there a song from, who was it? One of the Beatles sang a song about Bangladesh. That's right, I can't think of his name. Isn't it terrible? Mental block time. It's early in the morning. Give me a break, for goodness sake. Anyway, we'll come back to what's happening with Andrew Thaler very shortly, and also because I'm very interested in these anything that's secret. We're going to find out something about a secret organisation that you can't talk about the members. You can't mention the members. You can't know who they are. And to me, that's deceptive. I mean, they're just trying to deceive you. Again, led by the New South Wales government and proudly supported and backed by the ISC. This is the Country Telegraph. And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Soon, next week, next Tuesday, we become the pulsating, things like that. And it's not a porn site either. Some said, oh, you're a porn site, a pulse. No, we're a news site. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. The old lungs. Anyone got a pair of lungs you can lend me? Now, Instant Polls, maybe Lawrence will. He's the head honcho at Instant Polls. They're our official sponsor. Now, if you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff, and gather valuable data from your most important resource, that's your employees, you can visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, this week's poll is, how has the culling of Brumbies impacted your mental health? I have to say it has impacted my mental health, and it makes me quite depressed. It is very depressing to see what's happening. I just don't understand Australians. I don't understand it. How can you let this happen? It's just, there's some very good people out there fighting the good fight, but we do need the entire country to say, this is not how Australians treat Australians. And the Brumbies are Aussies. They are very much part of our heritage, our history. The lies that have been told about them destroying the environment are just appalling. So it affects me because a blatant lie is being regarded not as a truth, but it's a tool to get rid of every last Brumby. And Andrew Thaler, hello Thaler, he actually went flying in a plane with one engine. Why would you ever do that? And he thought there was about 90, along with Shannon Burns, so we'll talk about that too maybe. We haven't got a whole lot of time, so he wants to ask me questions. There's much chance as snowflake in hell on that one. Each vote, by the way, is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. 2FA is two-factor authentication. Now, you've got a week to vote before the result is broadcast on the Pulse after 8. That's next Tuesday. It'll be probably in the afternoon because that's when I change shifts. I give my lungs a chance to come back to life. Now, the link we published on our Facebook page this morning. Share the link and ask your family and friends to participate. Make your option, make your opinion, make your voice count. This is the Country Telegraph.
Management was deciding in the dark. We lacked a method to hear from people across the organisation. We started using Instant Polls under our brand. Their expert design templates made it effortless to ask the right questions of the people who matter most, our frontline teams. We've seen improved profits and happier staff, and we now make better company decisions thanks to Instant Polls. Join us. Try your first free poll at Instantpolls.online.
So many places where they're using 1080 poison baits.
Yeah, it's an absolute travesty, mate.
It really is.
1080 baits, if you've seen what a 1080 bait does to a dog, it's one of the most horrific things you'll ever witness. And the second you see something like that, you'll be a big advocate for getting rid of 1080 baits. It's not the way to solve the problem with wild dogs and foxes and things like that.
On Sunday, August the 30th, I got a phone call from my husband. I wasn't here, I was out in Aramac staying with family. And he rang me very distressed and crying on the phone and told me that Tippy was dead. And he then described to me how that happened. He said he was inside, heard Tippy outside yelping, which progressively rapidly went to screaming, and he was thrashing him, throwing himself around. He went under my car, which is parked on the veranda in a carport, threw himself under the car and up under the wheel arch, obviously looking for sanctuary. Greg tried to grab him and got hold of his leg, and as he did that he just dropped dead. So he rang me and told me about this, so I was obviously quite distraught as well. And then he had to go into town, into Bundaberg, to pick up for a pre-arranged appointment. And when he came home a couple of hours later, Faye, our Maremma dog, was also dead. So within a couple of hours, we're not sure, any time between 9:30 and midday is when she died on that morning. So yeah, Greg took them to bury them, and and he took Ted with him when he buried these two dogs, and Ted was there with him. And after Greg finished burying them, he wouldn't leave. He just laid, he sat, moved around. He wouldn't leave the gravesite. So Greg had to literally pick him up and take him away. So he knew his mates were in there. So, yeah, sorry.
1080 is not a humane poison, and despite people's claims that it is humane, we now recognise that that's not the case. It's not good enough to pretend to ourselves that it's humane and keep on doing the same old thing that we've been doing for years. There's no excuse to keep on using a poison that is not humane and that we know is not humane.
Hey, welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Next week we are the Pulse, thepulse.today. Councillor Andrew Thaler is an active and passionate father of 5 children, dedicated to saving Brumbies and the community from our government. Andrew strives to give voice to the voiceless, strength to the weak and hope to all. Electrical fitter tradesman out of the coal-fired power stations, pumped Hydro and Renewables. Andrew and Alisa own one of Australia's oldest operating solar farms at Singleton. Andrew deals in scrap metal, big trucks, and even bigger ideas, and I can vouch for that. Despised by the left, envied by the right, accused of being a solar capitalist by the Greens, and actually really busy just getting stuff done. Andrew Thaler, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mike. First question for the day. How are you, actually?
I'm well, thank you. That's your only chance you'll have of being the interviewer. Actually, it's we're just having a conversation, and I just want to know, because I'm actually really interested, because anything that's secretive, and you know from my past and our past, anything that's secretive, I go, oh, really? Let's have a look at that. The Kosciuszko Wild Horse Community Advisory Panel. It's secretive. Tell me about this group. Why would they be secretive, and what power do they have?
Well, there's a way of answering that. We can answer it with humour, because it's a community advisory panel. Is it meant to advise the community, or is it meant to advise the government what the community opinion is, or what we're saying? No one knows who's on the panel. Nobody is able to look them up. You're allowed to send an email to a blind email address that you might get a response to. It does take quite a long time. The secrecy is allegedly goes back from some of my research to 2024, and in one of the meeting summaries. This is the Wednesday, 25 January 2023. Members discussed concerns for their personal safety, harassment via social media, and risks of damage to their properties as a consequence by their representation on the panel. As such, members unanimously agreed to request National Parks or National Sparks and Wildfires Service to continue to withhold their names from public release. So that's why it's a secret.
Yeah, I just find, again, if it's a secret, they obviously have a fair whack of power. It's because if something's secret, it's another word for deceptive. Because if you don't know what a particular person really is doing, it's deceptive, and it's quite illegal in many cases, because especially if you're carrying on business, you cannot be deceptive. Or you're dealing with government, actually they are deceptive. But you're not supposed to be deceptive. You're supposed to be upfront and transparent, as we all go on about. If the Wild Horse Management Group, the advisory panel, the committee of, if they, I'm going to be I've got to be careful. Are they responsible for the direction, or is it just the ISC with Jack Goff and was it the other guys, Richard Swain and all those? Is it because of them that they're deciding to knock all the Brumbies on the head? Or is it on the advice of solely, or as part of a larger group to the government? Is it this committee? Are they determining the direction of the killing of these magnificent creatures?
Well, I don't strictly think so. I would liken it to how a community, not-for-profit incorporated association operates. For example, I'm the president of the local ratepayers association, and we have meetings. People can bring matters to us. We don't have a strictly formal structure like we would have in the council, but we do receive letters. We tender them or table them to the meeting. Quite often we read them out and we'll pass resolutions. If we go to the council that I'm a part of, the Snowy Monaro We Can't Build Pools Council, we have a much more formal process. 11 councillors, we get a business paper put in front of us. We're allowed to ask some questions. We won't get answers necessarily. We can bring our own motions, which we then have to debate with ourselves, and the staff generally provide no input. What happens in our council is that it just operates like a truck or a train without a steering wheel. It goes where it wants to go, and we go along with it. We can make small changes. We can't slow it down. We can't fix it. We can't make it pay subcontractors who have been ripped off, for example. My fear about this Wild Horse Advisory Panel is that the killing of the Brumbies is the decision of Fabian socialists, particularly Penny Sharp and the hard left that she hang out with, which is Jack Goff and basically her own echo chamber. This panel effectively gives the auspice of a public process. That's why they call it a community advisory panel. The government bureaucratic process says, well, you need to commute and consult with the community. Did you do that? Oh, yes, we spoke to the community advisory panel. Oh, who's on it? Oh, some members from the community. Oh, that's great. And what did they say? Well, they just agreed with what we told them. So, slightly longer answer to your question, Mike, but basically it's just bullshit. They are just dressing up a situation to make it look like we have a community consultative body and the community don't know who they are. I do have some names in a sec for you, though.
Yeah, actually, let's do that. These are we're not going to disparage anybody at this stage, but they can do that by themselves. Tell me who's on it.
Well, we do know, as a matter of course, who the chair is, and it's generally been John Pearce, AO. So he's got an Australian order. And underneath that, we were pretty easily able to find out a Benedict Keeney. He hangs out at ANU. And Edward Rowley, Ted Rowley. I think he lives around Jindabyne somewhere. He's a beef farmer. He does a lot of consulting throughout through the islands, Samoa and things like that. Kylie Hepburn has been a member, I believe, for quite a long time. She is she's a strong Brumby advocate. I think they, from memory, live in Bombala somewhere, and they've been rescuing and rehamming Brumbies for a very long time. So she's one of our community advocates. The one standout for me that I have known about for a while, I believe is still on the panel, is Rhonda Casey. So she's from that Tumut Brungle Tumbarumba side, a Narago descendant. But as long as I've known her, she's always hated the horses in the national park. I've got a few more names here, but they're the general ones. There was a disclosure document that provided some disclosures from other people. And those names include, which I've done a bit of quick research on, a Louisa Farthing, a Hugh Kingston, and an Astrid Van Agelen. Now, I've never heard of those names in all of my Brumby advocacy. Their appointments apparently ran till about October 2025. And when I looked at those people, Louisa Farthing was a part of the panel on the NPWS I think that's on her LinkedIn page. Hugh Kingston, adventure environmentalist speaker, Protect Our Winters. It's a group that he's in. And then Astrid Van Agelen is a veterinarian and she's involved in koala conservation.
Tell me this, and I'll be a little bit polite about it, is this just a horse shit committee? Is it just there by name, or do they actually? I want to know if they actually have impact, and if they have impact, then we actually do need to look at this very seriously, or is it just a just bullshit committee?
Understanding how public governments works, it is a bullshit committee, in my opinion. The National Sparks and Wildfire Service puts up meeting summaries on their website, and if you go to them, I've got the Wednesday, 11th of June. It says that the standing items, they updated the panel terms of reference. It was endorsed by the members. They actually are required to have a quorum. Some of these meeting summaries, they were a bit short on members, and so they needed to wait for people to turn up to achieve quorum. So it indicates that there is a formal structure. It might be the equivalent of a 355 committee in the Local Government Act, where you have to have minuted meetings, a chair, and a secretary takes the minutes from the council, and it's a formal process. It's documented. In these meeting summaries, these are not the minutes, they're meeting summaries. It says NPWS update, National Parks and Wildlife Service update. NPWS provided a program update. Topics of discussion: progress on the study into the feasibility of reproductive control trials, a petition to the Legislative Assembly to repeal the Act, and a lead beaters possum sighting. And then there was a presentation by the National Parks. They talk about a population survey by thermal camera in 2024, which if you read that survey, it was a failure. And you go back to go forward to 27 March 2025. Members provided comprehensive feedback from the site visit to the south of the park. Key observations included discussions of heritage value and visitor experience, members noting the challenge of valuing horses when they are not visible to visitors, despite noticeable environmental impacts. So there's a bias floating out of their reports. NPWS presentations, NPWS update, every single one. Presentation update. Doesn't say presentation by community or horse advocates. So any of the rehomers, any of the fundraising groups, for example, us with our efforts in the Land and Environment Court, I'd love to go and give a presentation to one of their meetings, but I don't think they'd let us do it. So the community consultative body that does not consult with the community. Consult is to have a conversation. You're not allowed to know who they are. How do you talk to them?
Yeah, it's deceptive from the very start. This committee should resign immediately. Before we get into our next thing, I wanted to just get an update what's happening court-wise and legal-wise. The National Parks and Wildlife Service, I refer to as a militia from Ukraine. They're very heavy-handed. I mean, they might have been okay before. Bit of power for people that are not all that bright. They do what they're told. They're part of the problem. I've been calling, and I think we need to have a Royal Commission not only into this, but into what Penny Sharp's office is doing. But the National Parks and Wildlife Service, what's your views on this mob? I think they are a despicable, deplorable bunch of people. Anybody who allows what's happening to happen, it's like the doctors during COVID. They created they were part of the problem because they just did what they were told to do, and they knew full well that there was no data to support what they were doing. It was not safe and it was not effective. And we have the same thing at the moment with the National Parks and Wildlife Service. They are allowing this killing. They are part of the process. They need to go right now. That's my own humble opinion. What do you think, Andrew?
Well, I look to history. Humans have a terrible habit of repeating history. So if we look at World War II, Stasi, the SS, Goebbels, the way that they said if you tell a lie often enough, it becomes somebody's truth. So what we get is this continual lie that the horse does damage. Other parts of the world, they're embracing the horse again for rewilding and restoring to degraded or denuded vegetative environments. In China, they're rewilding deserts and they'll introduce the horse back in. So the national parks has an agenda, and I know some of you other people that have chatted on your show. I think you did a chat with Kiki Soberg just this week maybe, and she commented, as a lot of us have, that when you're in the park, it's quiet. There's no birds, there's no spiders. When I was a little boy, we did a lot of walking, camping as kids, Cub Scouts and venturers. Spider webs, the sticky spider web on your face when you're a little kid. Doesn't happen to my kids. The spiders have gone. So the National Parks and Wildlife, a lot of us wanted to be rangers when we were little kids because you could go into the parks. I grew up down near the Moreton National Park, and we all got locked out in the 80s. But in the early 80s, we were driving through the fire trails. It was the most wonderful experience. No one gets that these days anywhere. I think it's a control and command structure from the top down. A lot of the actual staff and workers are really good people. They believe in protecting the environment. They don't want fires. They don't want poor outcomes for animals. but it's the upper management that are the poison. They are the 1080 to the park, from Penny Sharp through to those higher level Atticus Fleming and what have you. They are running an agenda, and I don't believe it's an Australian agenda, it's an international agenda, because it simply cannot be a coincidence that other countries, the Kaimoanas in New Zealand, they're trying to get rid of those out of those areas. The Dartmoors that have recently had a bit of a preservation order over them. There's no coincidences. I think it really is an agenda that's well out of hand. The workers, a lot of the workers are generally good people, but they have to do some pretty shitty things, and we saw
Well, they
how
got to stop. I mean, sorry, it's not an excuse. Oh, they made me kill that person. I didn't really want to kill him. I just shot him because I was told to. Doesn't hold any water. And I think piss weak is probably the term I would use. But getting off that, we need to do a Perry Mason quickly with you. For those not familiar with Perry Mason, probably in Andrew's my time, used to be a lawyer. And Andrew, at the moment, along with others, are fighting the really good fight. Tell us what's happening at the moment in court to try to rescind the direction of the order to kill these Brumbies and get back to some sort of common sense.
So we have a legal action in the Land and Environment Court, and we did, with the community's strength, we raised some funds to put towards paying for the lawyers and the barristers that we need to do that. That was originally commenced by Roxanne Phoenix, and it was joined by Matthew Holland to solve the issue of standing in the Supreme Court, but it wasn't the correct venue or the correct jurisdiction. So that matter was withdrawn and basically restarted in the Land and Environment Court, because what we're arguing is really a planning matter. We're asking the government to comply to the plan, the Wild Horse Management Plan. That says that there can remain 3,000 horses in the retention zones. The plan actually says in clear language to bring the number down to 3,000. So we've had all these fantastical projections of horse numbers. 6 to 16,000 was last year's. There's always a 10,000 horse error rate in these the government numbers. So we're petitioning effectively the court to order the government to comply with the plan. And so that starts with by not being cruel. So subject to the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, or POCTA, subsection 5, no one shall be cruel to any animal. There's no exemptions, there's no carve-outs. If you go into section 23 from memory, it does talk about situations where you can inflict injury on an animal for obviously surgeries, and you can kill them for like a pest animal control in limited circumstances, but you can't be cruel about it. So when I go into the park and I go and document 28 shot horses, and only one of them's got a bullet to the head, and most of them have got lung shots and heart shots, the odd leg shots and belly shots or abdomen shots, and quite a few of the pregnant mares were trying to give birth. That's cruelty. That's first leg. Second leg is to do with numbers. We did a flight over the park. That'll have to be a separate conversation, Mike, another show. And we did a flight over the park. We put it together in about 8-9 days planning. We jumped in the plane. We flew over 500,000 acres. It's a massive size. 500,000 acres in a day in a sort of zigzag pattern. We had observers. We had Shannon Byrne and Huxley Luntungan. He's studying at uni, final year, and so he doesn't have a particular buy-in either way to the debate. Shannon is a strong and accomplished horseman. He knew all the tracks, the huts, the names, the places, and the private properties. So he was great for that lived experience of the park. I had my son Aidan in the back running the cameras and mucking around with the digital stuff. I sat next to the pilot. We didn't see very many. This was a very fast to produce for the court case plan. When I look at my quick tally, I directly observed 5, along with, I saw the large group of 41, but I couldn't count them because I was writing down all the notes. I've got pages of notes. Huxley's 62, and I wrote down Shannon's observations that I heard over the headset of 26, but he reckons he saw about 80 something in total. Aidan saw about 9, the pilot saw 12. And you don't add all those numbers up because they're all the same horses. Snowy, in the snowy block, we saw 3. I didn't see any, but they were on the left side of the plain. And in the southern block, we saw 3. I saw a hopping kangaroo. We saw magpies in the trees. We saw some goats on private property and deer. So we could see down to the ground level quite well. It was a beautiful, clear day, no wind. We had come out of 7 days of frost, fog, and some snow. All the horses were out on the plain. There were very, very few in the trees because it was their first sunny day in about a week. I'd been up in the park a couple of times that week, so I documented where they were. We knew where basically to look. So by putting the numbers before the court, the plan says 3,000. We say we probably observed about 100. And if we times that by 5 and say we only saw 20% of them, in the retention zones, because that's all we generally looked at, we might have seen 500. We should have seen 10 mobs of 40, not one. And we just didn't see it. So that's really the fact now goes to the court to say, well, you know, we should have seen that, your little clip there, and we simply didn't. And we know that the idea of the light aircraft with the single engine, it might give you the frights, but it worked. When we flew over the mobs and that big mob of 41, none of them lifted their heads, none of them ran. It was not a helicopter. It was something they were quite used to. Lots of light aircraft fly over the park on a daily basis. It didn't bother them at all. So we could fly back and forwards and they didn't move. It was quite a success in that regard. So that will come up in probably September, a hearing. Final word on that, the New South Wales government, through their court system, has a company that does all the transcriptions of the court hearings, and they fell into liquidation earlier this year.
Oh, great.
There appears to be no solution, and so we still do not have the judge's decision in the interim application judgment. The interim was refused. The judge acknowledged our case and our points, but he said you didn't quite reach the level to grant an urgent interim. We've addressed those points now, and we will in the final matter, but we do need the judge's corrected decision. Both sides need it, and so last week, the directions hearing last week was moved back 2 weeks to allow some more time to get the transcript.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great travesties of my life, and you know, again, our past, and I've seen many, many things, and this is just this is so evil. Andrew Thaler, I do appreciate your time coming on. I also appreciate you never asked me a question, except you put to me last night or this morning in one of your posts, how did I find the area? I think the Snowy Mountains region is so Australian. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. There was a photo of me as a block of ice, and I did realise that didn't look great, so I'm not going to show you that block of ice. But it was really, really cold. But as for God's country, it is undoubtedly the snowy region and the Kosciuszko National Park. And for government and the ISC to egg the government, and if this committee is involved, to egg the government to annihilate these beautiful creatures, they all should go to hell, and very, very quickly. Andrew Thaler, we must do more of these. We'll talk about other things, I'm sure, all to do with Brumbies, and we need to stop it, because you, along with everybody else, and especially those that don't know about it, when they find out about it, they are equally disgusting. We need collectively across the country to come together and put a stop forever of this insane killing. As for Jack Goff, maybe we could send him a horse outfit and ask him to take a walk through the Kosciuszko National Park in a few months' time. That's just my own humble opinion. Andrew Thaler, if somebody wants to find out more about you, how do they do that? I'm sure they know how to anyway, but just tell us for those who don't know.
Well, just basically tune into the public conversation. If you want to look at the flying map, the plan that we did, a lot of people use Facebook, and it doesn't work in the Facebook shell. So you've got to get out of Facebook to do it. Go to www.andrewthaler.com, my website. There's not a lot on there. It's just a basic information page, really. But it'll take you straight away to the flight and you can play with it just like with Google Maps. There's some videos, photos. We'll put more detail in. You can see where the plane went, and you can see what we flew over, and that's a lower resolution. The high resolution is an incredibly big file. So closing comments for you, Mike. The game's not over. We haven't lost. We get to change the government once every 4 years in New South Wales and in Victoria too. That's coming up in March next year. So we need to spool up, not just petitioning and standing at the gates of Parliament. Let's get in the Parliament like we did with that petition in the lower house. We do that again on September 15 in the upper house, meet and greet the Pollies, sit in their cafe, have lunch with them as we did with Stephanie and I and Alisa did last week. They actually are somewhat interested. They're not being told the truth. So we get to change a government, and we get to change a direction, and we get to own our future, but we have to turn up and we have to do it together.
Andrew Thaler, thank you so much for your time. I always wanted to say this because I have the last word, you see. Thank you, Thaler boy.
No, it's hello, Thaler.
Hello, Thaler. Andrew, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
I didn't choose this life. I was born to live it. So was Dad, Pa, his dad, and his dad before that.
Come on, ladies.
You're supposed to be slowing down, you know.
It's payback for all the free labour you got out of me as a kid.
Ah.
I learned from watching my mum and dad and how they work together. So does my sister Sally.
Any trains? I don't. Feet up.
I'll always remember these days. It's the happiest days of my life. Together as a family.
Oh, you're so lucky I love you.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that about right, isn't it?
I don't know how you're going to deal with all this. Deal with what? $6 million debt? Most farmers are in this amount of debt. As farmers, we gamble with the weather every day, and it's a risk we take. You have no idea what I'm going through. Maybe you should talk to someone. Oh my God, no, I'm fine. No, you're not, Alison.
You and your dad's a coward.
Play a game of footy, all right?
Where's heaven?
What?
Where's heaven?
The sky, I think.
Can we go there?
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Heaven, by the way, is at the St Kilda Football Club. And that's why we call it the Saints, because we're just magnificent. I just thought I'd throw that part in. Anna Powell is a mother, agricultural family business owner, educator and independent candidate for the federal campaign for Maranoa in Queensland. We're going to talk to Anna today about her views and experiences with establishment media and her views on the so-called alternative media in this country, or are they just controlled opposition? Anna, thank you for joining us. You still listening to Triple M?
Morning, Mike. Yeah, I'll listen to anything to learn something. So I'm always open-minded, Mike. I never close anyone or anything off.
Tell us about the censorship bit from the M's.
Well, I have learnt more information. The show I went on Tuesday morning, actually, the person who chatted with me is he is in control of his own show within the Triple M's umbrella, so that he actually gets to choose whether the show goes up later or not. It did go live to air, but the segment that usually goes up and the full show didn't go up.
And why would that have been?
Well, what happened was I was going on to talk about political insider trading, which I allege is rampant in our country at every level of government now. And we were talking about that. Our Mayor, Lawrence Springborg, who's still an LNP power broker, he's the ex-president of the LNP. He was Southern Downs member for 21 years, from the age of 21. He was leader of the LNP when they were in opposition. They parachuted Campbell Newman in to take his place because they thought he would more likely win an election, which he did, but then he proceeded to sack a whole lot of public servants, so there was a rebellion against him. and he was only in for one term. And I suspect, and in my opinion, that Lawrence has never really got over that. But anyway, he's now working for Cornerstone Government Relations, which is a business that actually sells access to politicians and high up government people and inside information about the government. So it's got ex-politicians, ex-senior public servants on their team, but Lawrence is still being paid by our dollars to be Mayor of Goondiwindi region. So I find that an extreme conflict of interest that he actually never declares at any meeting or any public forum.
Yeah, intriguing, isn't it? Have you ever experienced censorship before?
Yes, I wouldn't. I'm not sure that I call this example censorship. I think that what happened is we were talking about that, and then the fellow who's going to remain nameless, because I really don't enjoy bagging people out. I'm constructive. I'm talking about this because I think it's problematic in our country now. So he'd interviewed Pauline Hanson earlier, and he mentioned her name, and I said, did you ask her hard questions? And I mean, that's me. I just say it how it is. And anyway, he got very upset about that and started in on me and got quite upset. And then I said, well, I practice what I preach, so I am running an independent federal campaign for the seat of Maranoa. And I said, you can go to Vote 1 Anna Power for Maranoa on Facebook. And that upset him again. And he does have a history of right-leaning politicians giving them softball interviews. And you just go to Spotify, and I can put that in comments when you share this. So that's his prerogative. It's his show. He can do whatever he wants. But it sort of went downhill from there, because I then mentioned some things about the Christopher government, and he got very upset, and then pretty much ended the interview. And an old pensioner from near Kingaroy actually contacted me, very upset that I'd been treated the way I was treated, and said that he wanted to hear more from people like me, and that when the interview was cut, that the host said, and I'm never having her on my show ever again. So it's a form of censorship, actually, but it went live to air. So the live bit, obviously people heard it, but I can't access the interview to kind of prove that I actually wasn't in the wrong. And he subsequently accused me of being self-interested and self-promoting on his show. And I said, well, that's not true. And I sent him the screenshots of the notes I took for the show, which I can also put in comments, and said it was only because Pauline Hanson was mentioned that I went off track, and then we continued off track. So I thought that was pretty unfair, because I'm not doing this for self-interest. It's really not worth the pain if you're doing it for self-interest. I'm doing it because I actually care about our country and our kids' future.
Okay, now I'm going to bring up Pauline Hanson. Let's go off track, because I think that's important for you to have a. If I bring up a name, Pauline Hanson, for me, I would say Israel, but that could be wrong. But if you look at the alternate media, and if you look at Avi Yemeni from Rebel News, and Rukshan Fernando, the wedding photographer, now superstar. And by the way, I do know these people, and know of them. I know sort of Rukshan, but they ignored us and we ignored them, which is perfect. But they're basically I wouldn't say the official media outlet, but they're close to it, especially Avi Yemeni. He's the almost the official media outlet for Pauline Hanson. And we know that Avi Yemeni has strong ties to Israel, being a former IDF soldier. What's your views on Pauline? And I know she doesn't like legacy media, but we still need them. Is she pinning her hopes on a fragmented part of society, which we were and still are a part of? Is she pinning her hopes on having a better coverage from Avi Yemeni than from, say, other media outlets? I mean, I look at Sky legacy media are doing their utmost to make her an intrusion into what is already regarded as a highly unstable environment in the political world.
To be honest, I don't know about Pauline's connection with Avi Yemeni. I don't follow Avi Yemeni. My theory is that One Nation's being held up by some in the establishment media to hoover up the people who are very disenfranchised with what's happening in Australia because their wallets are getting hit very hard with inflation and taxation. So at the end of, if you listen to the interview that this host did before me with Hanson, at the end, she said, if you're going to vote for Labor, if you're going to vote Liberal, preference One Nation second. So I find that interesting because if you're positioning yourself as a real alternate to the coalition, then, I wouldn't be promoting the coalition at all, but that's what she ended with. And my theory's always been that increasingly One Nation have been preferencing the coalition and doing backroom deals with the coalition. And that's the whole point, is to get a right-wing party up again, which is very hard for Labor. They pulled right ahead last election. For me, everyone should know where the money's coming from. So if you're taking money from anywhere, if it's I don't know, an Israeli legal firm, which some politicians do, if you have a look at Kangaroo Court of Australia, I'll put that in comments as well, or you're taking it from the Big Four consultants, or you're taking it from the union bosses. Australians should know that, but they don't. You go out to the street and ask people, do you know who the big donors are for the coalition, for One Nation, for Labor, for the Greens? They have no idea. And that's the problem, transparency. There's no transparency.
There's not, is it?
There's no transparency. People who don't tell lies have nothing to hide, and that's the fact.
I know you're in a bit of a hurry here, so I just want to throw this at you. Okay, we need fair and honest and transparent media in this country. I don't think we get it by any stretch. I think you have to ask yourself, where do they get the money from to stay alive, eat and sleep and that sort of stuff. One of the answers to that is the federal government. It was released that they pay I think it's about 70 million they pay to Channel 9 and stuff to favour curry, as they would say, but also, which is legacy, but also on the independent side, the horrible Crikey, which we used to always feature, a terrible organisation, but they're also paid by the federal government. And Michael West Media is another one. Michael West Media, I always had the utmost respect for. Didn't agree with everything, but if you're under the watchful eye of the government, because they're giving you a chunk of whether it's 300,000 or 5 million or 10 million, you'd have to question the honesty of that news reporting, wouldn't you?
Well, to me, independent means that you declare all money that's coming in, and you say whether you're right or left leaning. I don't do right or left politics. It's the illusion of choice. It's just divide and conquer. But I do keep an eye on Michael West Media and a few others, and I don't find them independent. I think they should acknowledge exactly what their ideology is, who's funding them. If the government are giving them a grant, it should go up that day. Technology, there's no excuse for not being transparent anymore. You can put it straight up. And look, I'll be transparent. I have sponsored some you and Jenny some money to help you keep going, and I'm happy to say that. And I haven't told you what to do. I haven't told you what to say. I just like to help out people who are actually trying to do the right thing, and that's what it's really easy to be transparent and accountable if you've got nothing to hide. It's easy, and people just need to. I have a hashtag follow the money on my Anna Power Facebook page, because that's all people have to do. Just have a look at the advertisers, have a look at where the government's spending their money, have a look at the big donors. I always put sources in comments that back up what I'm saying, so click on the sources, have a look.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's easy to sleep at night when you're honest and transparent and just don't tell lies. It's easy. You can talk to everyone.
Well, our history, we played by your rules, as you know, And you can see it's now we're enjoying poverty beyond belief. But
this is the problem, Mike, is the biggest problem I see in everything is that, unfortunately, what I call high functioning psychopathy and narcissism seems to win the day. So people say honesty always wins, but that's not what I see. I see at the end of the day, the big money flows to people who'll play the game. And if you don't play the game, then you get bullied out. And that's sad, and I'm not prepared to do that. But unfortunately now with debt and inflation and taxation, people do have to play the corporate and the big business and the big government game just to survive. That makes me feel a bit sad. But anyway, it's a beautiful day here, and we'll let you go and move on to your next guest.
You did that so well. I mean, normally I do that, and you've done a better job than me. Thank you for having me on your show. And if somebody wants to find out more about you quickly, how do they do that?
You can look at Vote 1 Anna Power for Maranoa on Facebook. I'm always open to feedback. I believe in diversity of thought, real diversity of thought. So give me your feedback, and just Anna Power on Facebook. I do this part-time we have a business and family and things like that. So it's just a part-time job at the moment, but I enjoy speaking the truth. So I'll keep going.
Good on you. Thank you so much for your time, Anna Powell there. This is the Country Telegraph.
Thanks.
How should we meet the challenge of managing wild horse populations? Hello, I'm Wayne Linklater, and Professor of Environmental Studies and author of the new book, Wild Horses of the Last Land. Learning about ourselves and nature from the Kaimanawa wild horses. Frankly, how we currently manage populations of wild horses is counterproductive. But it doesn't have to be that way. If we would lean more heavily, more fully into what we know about the ecology and behaviour of wild horses, we could design a scheme for managing their populations that is more effective, efficient, and yes, humane. I would argue more ethical. If you want to know more, see the last section of my new book titled Conservation.
Back again, taking us up to the next hour. This will go a bit over. Always play this one because we seem to forget Australia's history. And if you look into Australia's history, it has some very dark moments. But those moments are what got us to where we are today, still having more dark moments. But if you look at in the First World War, when we took over 130,000 horses, and only one came back, and you think they fought, or they were at the end they were billeted out to other farms. They weren't. Imagine these horses, and I'll play this in a second. Imagine these horses charging towards machine guns, angry soldiers, cannons, all sorts of things. And they knew full well what was happening, but they were going to fight for their rider, their country. And because they are intelligent creatures. And many got through it. Many helped save those troops. They were used as barriers against bullets and so forth. And imagine then the horror that they were rounded up and shot. Not the riders' suggestion, it was the ones that ran the military. And they shot them all. It's just absolutely terrible. And that's what we're doing now. We're killing them all. And I think to those people, and I sincerely mean this, you can go to hell. You should go to hell. And don't pass go. Don't collect any holy water along the way. You are a pack of bastards. That's just my own humble opinion. This is the Country Telegraph.
They carried Stockman, They carried soldiers. They carried legends from Beersheba to the mountains of the high country. The thunder herd still rides. Skies and snow gums bow in winter light. 1,000 shadows cross the dawn, their wild hearts burning through the night. Their blood remembers campfire smoke, long dusty trails and stockmen's hands. The freedom of a younger world still running through this ancient land. Listen. The mountains know their language. Listen. The valleys speak their names. They are the thunder rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them. No walls contain them. The spirit of the light horse rides. They are the thunder herd, and the mountains know their names. Across the burning Sinai sands, they carried fate in steady hands. Through dust and fire they thundered on toward Beersheba's fateful dawn. Horse and rider forged as one, a rolling wave against the guns. The desert shook beneath their stride as Australia rose in pride. They are the thunder herd, rolling beneath the southern sky. From Beersheba's fields of glory to the mountains standing high, no chains can hold them, no walls contain them. The spirit of the light horse ride. They are the thunder herd, and the mountains know their name. And standing on the highest ridges, when the world below has gone to sleep, the ancient stallions face the darkness, guarding secrets they still keep. They remember every stockman, every drover, every mountain horseman, every charge, every rider who never came home, every horse who carried him there. Ride on. Ride on. Ride on. They are the thunder. Dark and wide, the spirits of the old light horse still ride beside their stride. No king commands them, no empire owns them, for freedom runs within their blood, as surely as rivers shape the land. They are the thunder. To the high country, the thunder herd still rides.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Nice to have your company too. Just seeing what's happening around the country and around the globe. Australian hospitals are on the brink of disaster as healthcare workers say enough is enough. One of the world's biggest car makers has decided enough is enough also, and has launched a dramatic fight back against China's EV threat, which is the EV market is moving ahead in great leaps and bounds. But it is all a false market created by the government because of their huge restrictions based on a lie. And that's what climate change is. We have to look after the planet, no doubt about that. Otherwise, we won't have a planet. But science is always disagreeing with each other at the moment on what is right for the planet. I think what we need to do is just respect it and respect our fellow Australians in our case. If we have people on our show, for example, you need to respect our decision and that we have not done anything to undermine anybody. Anyway, just my opinion. And Australia's news bargaining incentive, which the Albanese government says will force social media and technology giants to cough up for local news media, will be introduced into Parliament, despite industry leaders warning the changes would gut the scheme. And finally, to cricket, Josh Hazlewood has pipped Scott Boland. Oh, guess who's the favourite boy for the third fast bowler spot in Australia's team for the first test against Bangladesh, which is in Darwin, which is going to be a lovely day there. I think 31 today. Magnificent. There is some conjecture about the pitch because they've got two half pitches joined together. And I think the people were a bit worried because one's 6 inches higher than the other one. No, they're perfectly level. You can't tell. Well, maybe. And we'll soon find out. I hope he bowled first too, by the way. Anyway, coming up next, we'll find out more about how you can have an opinion about, about the terrible Brumby killings and stuff with our instant polls here on the Country Telegraph.
Management was deciding in the dark. We lacked a method to hear from people across the organisation. We started using instant polls under our brand. Their expert design templates made it effortless to ask the right questions of the people who matter most, our frontline teams. We've seen improved profits and happier staff, and we now make better company decisions thanks to instant polls. Join us. Try your first free poll at Instantpolls.online.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Next week, The Pulse. Now, Instant Polls is our official sponsor. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff and gather valuable data from your most important resource, your employees, then visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. Now, this week's poll is, how has the culling of Brumbies impacted your mental health? Just use the QR code at the bottom of our screen. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. You have a week to vote before the result is broadcast on the Pulse after 8 a.m. next Tuesday. I think it's going to be a bit later, that one. The link will also be published on our Facebook page. Share the link, ask your family and friends to participate, and make your opinion count. This is the Country Telegraph.
I didn't choose this life. I was born to live it. So was Dad, Pa, his dad, and his dad before that.
Come on, ladies. You're supposed to be slowing down, you know.
It's payback for all the free labour you got out of me as a kid.
Ah.
I learned from watching my mum and dad and how they work together. So does my sister Sally.
Any trains? I don't. Feet up.
I'll always remember these days. It's the happiest days of my life. Together as a family.
Oh, you're so lucky I love you.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that about right, is it?
I don't know how you're going to deal with all this.
Deal with what?
$6 million debt?
Most farmers are in this amount of debt. As farmers, we gamble with the weather every day, and it's a risk we take. You have no idea what I'm going through.
Maybe you should talk to someone.
Oh my God, no, I'm fine.
No, you're not, Alison.
You and your dad's coward.
Play a game of footy, all right?
Where's heaven?
What?
Where's heaven?
The sky, I think.
Can we go there?
Burrinjuck Dam is 98 years old. It was completed in 1928, and the concrete is deteriorating from the inside out through a process called alkali silica reaction, which is an irreversible chemical expansion that causes cracking and weakens the structure over time. In 1937, engineers discovered structural weaknesses so serious they drew up evacuation plans for 20,000 people living downstream, and the dam has only aged since then. Right now, Burrinjuck holds 1,026 gigalitres, but the catchment it sits on covers nearly 13,000 square kilometres and routinely delivers far more water than the dam can store. In October 2022 alone, around 1,200 gigalitres flowed into Burrinjuck in a single month, more than its entire capacity. And the excess had nowhere to go but downstream into communities that ended up flooded. That year was Australia's costliest natural disaster on record, with $5.56 billion in insured losses and 10 million tonnes of grain destroyed. The proposal is to rebuild Burrinjuck with a new wall that takes capacity from 1,026 gigalitres to 4,000 gigalitres, which is an additional 3,000 gigalitres of storage. To put that in perspective, the federal government has spent $7.2 billion recovering approximately 2,100 gigalitres through buybacks under the Basin Plan, and buying 3,000 gigalitres on the open market at current prices would cost anywhere from $27 billion to $60 billion. Building the storage costs between $4 and $6 billion. On top of that, a rebuilt Burrinjuck could generate 100 to 200 megawatts of hydroelectric power, bringing in $40 to $60 million a year in energy revenue. It could dedicate over 650 gigalitres to environmental flows without competing with irrigators. And it would act as a flood buffer that protects downstream communities the way Dartmouth Dam does on the Murray, where 70% of flood events have been completely absorbed since it was commissioned. The Murray-Darling Basin produces $30 billion in agricultural output every year and supplies over a third of this country's food. Rebuilding Burrinjuck secures that food production, protects communities from floods, generates clean energy, delivers environmental water, and replaces a dam that is approaching the end of its structural life. Every year we delay this decision, the dam gets older and the cost of inaction gets higher.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. We are getting some interesting emails and calls and messages. Good to see that free speech is alive and well. Or not. And anyway, we will deal with that after the show. But we are here only to look after those Brumbies. And if anyone has an issue with who we have, what we have on the air, you have our phone numbers, you have Jen's number, but I'll shut my mouth, I think, because I am, I'll be quiet. You know exactly who I'm talking to too, by the way. That's very unkind of you, what you said. Sian Whitewolf Molyneux is an Australian entrepreneur, president of Wild Horse Protection Australia, looking after the wild horses, and a passionate advocate for practical, long-term solutions for Australia's wild horses. Sian has spent years developing a deep connection with Australia's wildlife. President of Wild Horse Protection Australia, a new organisation, Sian is leading a movement focused on creating positive, collaborative pathways for the future of Australia's Brumbies. First of all, thanks for joining us. You need your microphone on, you need your pet large dingo to put the microphone on, and there we are. Look at that.
There we go.
And tell me about your co-host there.
Yeah, so I thought I'd bring on my co-host because she is quite relevant to what's happening right now. So she's actually a Kosciuszko National Park alpine dingo, which are getting quite rare now. And unfortunately, they get a similar, if not worse, treatment from the government. So I wanted to bring her on. At the moment, you know, they're getting the 1080 baiting, which is a horrendous, horrible death. And it just, you know, shows that the park itself is being managed in a very brutal manner. And I didn't take this dingo, just want to clear that up, from the wild. I actually found her in a backyard she was poached, and God knows what happened to her family. But she was about 9 months old when I found her in the Hunter Valley in someone's backyard. And these poor animals get displaced everywhere. Same with the Brumbies, you know, broken up from their family groups, shot, baited, and then displaced all over the New South Wales, Australia. So just wanted to bring her on anyway and bring a bit of awareness to these dingoes and how they're very important to the ecology there. And
Now then, we had a conversation prior to this a few weeks ago. I think it was on air and stuff, but Jen's spoken to you, and they're not a dog, are they? The dingo, people think the dingo is a dog. Tell us what a dingo can do. And it's sort of, one of the things you told me, I pictured The Exorcist almost turning its head around, but they can do all sorts of things. Tell me about the dingo and why the dingo is not a dog.
Yes, and I think I said on the last interview, not enough studies have been done on them, and they're classified by the government as a introduced pest as well, which is ridiculous since they've been here for 5,000 years plus, which I think a lot longer than that. And, you know, they've adapted. I think they're a completely different species than a dog. Their heads can contort and lay flat on the back of on their spine. And I think that's an adaptation to when they're eating wallabies and kangaroos, that they can move their head back so that they don't get gouged out by those back feet. And also they're double jointed in their, their wrists, and they can climb trees. So a lot of this is so they can catch their prey. The alpine as well is quite funny. They feed a lot on little birds and lizards and things like that. So they're so quick. Sometimes they're so quick I can't even see them move. And she is a bit like a cartoon character where she can jump in the air after a bird and propel herself up with her tail and wiggle at the same time and reach an extraordinary height, which no dog could possibly reach. So they're quite a unique creature.
We have 442 cats. It feels like it. And by the way, the cats, they will be giving me some attitude, which we're getting a bit at the moment. And the attitude will be, so a thing that looks like a dog can climb trees. We climb trees, not dogs. Anyway, so I think we need to, and it just shows you that we actually need to appreciate life, whether it's a dingo, whether it's a marsupial or a horse. They are all living, breathing creatures of, and many would say, of God. And we do need to, I think the idea of kill for everything, look at 1080, kill everything. Look at the even the fire ants in Queensland, spray all these chemicals and eventually kill. We have to actually let that go, don't we? We have to stop the enthusiastic approach to killing things.
It's not intelligent management, is it?
It is not.
And to think that 1080 bait isn't eaten by quolls or is eaten secondary by eagles or by owls, which it's proven to have been, or, you know, goannas as well. It's ridiculous to think that that doesn't happen. It's known that it kills our native animals. Same with the spray for the ants. Of course, that's going to affect bees and important insects, and not only to mention the cruelty as well. Barbaric in these times and not necessary when there's other methods.
Tell me about your organisation, which is Wild Horse Protection Australia, your priorities for the Brumbies, and they do need even more help now because we have other areas, I think around Yamba and Coffs Harbour area. They're going to be aerial culling Brumbies again, and going to resume in the Kosciuszko National Park to aerial cull the Brumbies. Tell me what your priorities are at the moment for your organisation.
So our main priorities are protection of the Brumby and also keeping them in family groups. We're very family group orientated. These horses go through so much as it is, but also Australia-wide. So wanting to help any movement that's happening Australia-wide. As we can see, the culls are happening Australia-wide. It's not just Kosciuszko. And from this, we have many horses that are displaced that come through trapping or other means. And that's where we are creating safe zones where these horses, our vision is to unite them back with their families. And once we have our large-scale conservation project, to have them rewilded and running together with their families. I find these horses are quite unique. You've got to think that they've been surviving in the wild, and compared to a domestic horse, they're so reliant on each other and their roles in that herd to be able to survive. So they're very, very close-knit and close bonded. The mare has a role, the stallion has a role, even the secondary mare down has a role. And so when they're ripped apart, these horses really do suffer. Even though everybody's doing the best that they can through rehoming and all the other avenues, our focus is to try and reunite where we can.
What's your thoughts on these? And a lot of debates, we have them all the time, and there's debates everywhere about the Brumbies and keeping them in the park. And there's, and I understand people, and they should be kept in the park. And so priority number one is to get rid of the propensity to kill. But secondly, we have, if the killing goes ahead, and the rehomers and people who are taking those Brumbies out of the park, many would say that those horses are at least saved from death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they are saved from death, absolutely. But the thing is that those horses that are so closely bonded as well are being displaced, unfortunately, all over the place. And so that does have a heavy toll on them. And you've got to think about these magnificent stallions too. Some of them that have had big herds and big mobs for years, they've got wind in their heart. They're a part of the landscape. They're wild, they're free, they're magnificent, majestic, ferocious even sometimes, protecting their herds. And that's the hard thing, we're all doing our best to save them. We're saving our lives. But then, sometimes they're stuck in these paddocks. And what is their fate after that? And so it's a really tricky thing. And I think that's where it's super important for us to come together as community and help each other out, network, and try and bring these mobs back together where we can and all get on the same page. And I know that might be controversial to some people, but try and work together so that we can unite them, if possible, and give them a lot of space, if possible. And I know there's some incredible people with land now that are jumping in, and we're after the big acres so that we can have these mobs. But at the same time, we want them protected in the park because that's where they belong.
We've had many people on with suggestions and activities to save the Brumbies. We've found out about committees that are quite deceptive because they're secretive. Any secret committee that's acting on behalf of a community but are a secret is upfront very deceptive in the way it operates, because especially if you're representing a community, you need to be upfront and transparent. Having said that, from us doing all the broadcast, and we appreciate all the help that we've been given to get us to these places, all the other rallies around Australia, the court cases, the a very small piece of reporting in legacy media, which is very small and quite contrary to the situation. But all these things, the end of the day, it's the government that holds all the cards. How do we deal a different deck of cards to get a better outcome?
I mean, it's so hard, isn't it? Because it involves people's hearts and emotions, and, there's death of animals at stake, and it's hard for people. I mean, I went to Parliament as well for the lower house petition that was put forth by Carmen Jackson, and good on her. Shout out to Carmen Jackson for striving ahead. But as people, it's hard for us not to stand up and retaliate and be emotional about that. And the unfortunate thing is the government then can turn around and go, look at this crazy Brumby bunch, coming after us or saying these things. And it's like they're the ones throwing the grenades and creating this massacre and slaughter, and yet we're not supposed to respond. So it's very difficult. I mean, I think the only way around this really is to come up with a bridge, but also to stand up for the rights of those animals. It is a tricky one. I don't know if I have a complete answer to that. We need to rise up with our voices as Australia to say this is wrong. And the more that we spread the word, the more people can stand up. I think that's very important. But then we also need to be able to say, hey, look, here's solutions. How about fertility control? How about these retention zones? Why can't this be done? And really reinforce that and try and get ears listening. And it was great to see some of the lower house MPs putting forth some good speeches, but it would have been good to have more support on that.
Just quickly, tell me how things are going with the GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah, so we're very new, and people, do have questions. Who are you? What are you about? And so it's been quite a journey coming in and trying to introduce ourselves to all the other groups in the community and say, hey, this is us. And, we do have our own following now that is really supporting us, which is great. And we are going ahead with the GoFundMe. We've got some donations already, but the main focus for these donations is we know that there's going to be a lot of horses coming out between now and November. And it is to find those safe zones to be able to acquire horses if we need to, for feed and all of the basic things that we need to be able to keep these horses safe, and also to help us with the larger scale conservation kick-off. But that's going to be a bit of a slow-moving beast. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's really tough because we've got this small window, until November. So it's crunch time. Pity we didn't know about this earlier,
Isn't it horrible, though, you like us, you like things to happen now, and it doesn't. It just, nature says it's going to take this amount of time. Bureaucracy says, let's try and extend that time, make it go longer. But, when you start, if you keep going, you eventually finish. And that's what you have to do. And it's sometimes it probably gets you down at the lip, as we would say, or you feel a bit like, oh, man, what the hell's happening? But, it's one step at a time, left foot in front of the right foot, and you do get to that finish line. And I do fingers crossed, and I think you will do it anyway. Knowing the short times you and I have spoken, I think you're a very determined and highly intelligent person, and I appreciate your coming on the show with us. If somebody wants to find out more about Wild Horse Protection Australia, how do they do that?
Yes, so we have our Facebook page now, which has the GoFundMe on there. We're very detailed in the GoFundMe and transparent, so you can go on there. The link is on the Facebook. There's a post on it. There's also a link on our Instagram page, Wild Horse Protection Australia. You can go onto our website and see all of our team members and our backgrounds as well. And any questions, we're happy to answer. Please come and talk to us. But our main focus is the rewilding situation, keeping these horses when they come out of the park, keeping them together, the stallions with their mares. If we can, even, a boy band, we were going to call it the boy band of, stallions. It could be marketed quite well, really. But yeah, that is our focus. And I think it's a really, really needed thing right now. And if everyone comes behind us, I guarantee we won't disappoint.
No, I think it's been fantastic, and it's the more I learn about, just about everything. I realise how little I do know, but the Brumby, it's just the family unit. It's just absolutely amazing, and even the foals, I think they're there for 3 years or more, been taught by the family on how to be a stand-up horse. And it's just fantastic. I absolutely love it. I think what's happening right now is just despicable. And shame on the New South Wales government, and shame on the ISC and anybody else that supports the culling of these magnificent creatures. I said before, I mean it, go to hell. As simple as that. Sian, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph. An ex-guest in plural, there are a couple coming up shortly to talk about some things I didn't even know about. And it's just the history of the Brumby and the horses, just absolutely amazing, here on the Country Telegraph.
Among the Brumbies, hear the wild call of the land. My heart breaks open softly as their breath falls on my hand. They've been here for 200 years, doing what wild horses do, healing country, holding stories, loving me and loving you. But now they stand in terror as the choppers fill the sky, and the bullets keep on falling, and they run and they die. Oh, please let our Brumbies live, let the wild ones still run free, for the shooting only wounds the land and you and me. The hills are quiet, empty, there's a trembling in the ground. You know this kind of sorrow doesn't fade, it lingers round. The blood sinks deep in silence, leaves a stain we cannot see, but the earth, she holds the memory of what was and what will be. There was a stallion strong and watchful, with a mane like wind and flame, and his mare so soft and gentle, each one knowing her own name. Such a family in the wild, such a life they wove each day. Tell me why we choose destruction when there is another way. Oh, please stop the shooting now, there's still another way. If you'd only pause and listen to what the people say. Oh, please hear us now, we're calling out in pain. Let the Brumbies run forever through the sun and through the rain.
Absolutely fantastic. That's Billy D. Save Our Brumbies. Absolutely like this. And by the way, see the comments coming in? Go to buggery. That's all I can say. We're here to look after the horse, not playing politics, which we are being accused of now. Incredible, incredible. Lost sight, blinkers on, all that sort of shit. Carol Faithful and Charles Connolly, Bogon High Country light horse advocates. Carol Faithful has fought hard for 15 years to protect the Bogong Brumbies and a voice for this history and our heritage. But Parks Vic and the ISC had their own agendas. Carol has given us some background. Just before the turn of the 19th century, the Youngs brothers from Benambra, I think it's how we pronounce it, Benambra, I think that's more like it. I should know I'm a Victorian, bad Victorian apparently, weren't making money breeding cattle. And they decided to breed workhorses and horses for the Boer War. They supplied horses for the First World War also. Now, they bred clumper stallions over station mares, so they'd be strong enough to carry soldiers and all their equipment, as well as being supply cart horses and artillery cart horses. Now, these horses were walked to the Bogong High Plains every summer to graze. The descendants of this breeding were eventually left up on the high plains. Never that many, and the harsh conditions in the winters of the snow kept the numbers quite low. Sandy the warhorse was born and bred on the Bogong High Plains, sold to brickmakers in Tallangatta, and then donated to the army as he was big and powerful. Tragically, the last of these beautiful horses have been massacred over the last 4 years until none remain. First of all, I've got to thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Tell me, I just need to know, and that's a very sad story, but the National Parks and Wildlife Service, and I've been calling for their demolition quite up front in New South Wales, and they would seem to be just as effective in your part of the woods. What's your views on the National Parks and Wildlife Service and being basically the hired assassins by those that hate horses or those that have this ideology that has been proven many times to be quite wrong?
Well, we very much disagree with what the current situation that's going on. We've gone up the high plains regularly over the last few years, probably more than, I've gone up there since I was a kid. We've gone into the bush. My father used to take me up there when we were quite young, and my father used to trap and catch horses. He used to, for a while there's a similar situation, the cattle job and the sheep job wasn't going very well, and so he used to catch horses and take them. He took, I think, 11 horses to Dandenong one day. He tells the story a lot better, but I don't think he really particularly wants to be interviewed anymore, but he tells the story a lot better, and he used to catch them for a living, for a part of his living anyway. We very much disagree with what's going on. The numbers that they quoted and the fact that there's not really the growth that they say. I've been going up there for years, and it was always around about the same amount of horses you'd see. And to say that, in New South they're claiming like something like 25,000 or whatever insane number. We would see a handful of hundreds on the Bogong High Plains at the absolute maximum, and it was never any more than that. So all the justification that they have for removing them, we very, very strongly don't believe in.
Tell me about the Bogong High Plains first of all, so people get an appreciation of what sort of terrain it really is.
The Bogong High Plains is quite a rough area of Australia. The high plains themselves are flat, as you would appreciate. That's why they're called plains. And then there's some quite rocky sides off the edges. And now they've got ski fields on them now, which we actually work at. The country and the terrain is quite steep, and the horses would come out on the plains over summer. And join with the cattle and feed there, and the horses were, sort of part of the landscape for many years, and they were used during the war, as you discussed before. Youngs took them to the war. I think they took them to Stratford. I think they put them on the. Is that right?
No, Bryagalon and Wodonga. So when they went to Wodonga, they were shipped out of Sydney, and hence they were called the Whalers, mixed in with the New South Wales horses, of course. The other ones were shipped out of went to Bryagalon. Had to be broken in and handled, and they were shipped out of Welshpool. So, yeah.
Carol, can you just tell me your views on the Brumby and what sort of horse it is?
Well, the Bogong Brumbies, as you know, they were bred by the Youngs brothers, so they pretty much kept that same line throughout. You could still see the unique feathering of the fetlock that the Clydesdale has, or the clumpers as the Youngs called them, and that was still prevalent on the Bogong Brumbies, and they never mixed with the lower Brumbies, so you never saw coloured horses up there. You just saw the solids, like the solid colours, the blacks and the browns. Never saw chestnuts. Oh, I think I did once, but they were all the solid colours. The Brumbies on the Eastern Alps, Nuniong through to Limestone, they're a different breed to the Bogong Brumbies, I would say. They were had different stallions mixed in with them by locals. So
the colours did come in because they were popular. I mean, I actually learnt to ride on a coloured Brumby. My father caught a coloured Brumby at, sort of not far from the current Dinner Plain village, and out of her we got many foals, including the ones that I competed on for years, and they were both coloured horses. So several of the horses that are up at our place now, at my place and on our family farm, have some Brumby in them. Don't have many. Only got one, I think, pure Brumby, and then several others. But I mean, they always made a really tough horse, and you've got to sort of get them young to break them in. My father used to catch them and break them in and sell them, amongst other things. But there was a lot of horses trapped, and then they stopped trapping and they stopped catching, and the numbers didn't explode anything like they claimed. They might have went up a bit, but really they can't breed anything like what New South is, what Parks and Wildlife have claimed.
What were the reasons why they needed to reduce the numbers basically to zero?
They're claiming environmental damage, of course, but I mean, you've only got to go there, and like I said, we've been going up there for years, and what is damage? What do you call damage? I read, we were reading one particular thing about slump of creek slump. How the horses were damaging the edge of the creek. Well, they claimed all sorts of things about cattle as well, about how cattle were, they were damaging the headwaters of all the Victorian rivers. But we've got photos and stuff of horses shot and lying in the creeks, polluting the water. And the main thing that they've done is increase the pig population and the wild dog population. So. We've never had pigs up there before. Well, the last few trips we've gone up there, we've found big signs of pigs. This is very new to us. There's been deer for a long time, but there's been a marked increase in pigs, and the guy that has had the contract for removing the pigs, he got his money cancelled. While there were still helicopters flying around shooting Brumbies. We were up there several times while the helicopter was there, and I don't know if it was deliberate or not. You'd hesitate to say it was some sort of deliberate act, but we were there and the chopper's going round and round, bang, 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 bang. And they knew we were there, and we don't really know what they shot. Because we only ever found a handful of carcasses that were shot by the helicopter. Now you might say, oh well, we're just blind and we can't find things. Well, we did cover quite a lot of territory, and we did find quite a few things. But yeah, for the amount of bullets that went out, there certainly wasn't that amount of carcasses that we found.
Tell me about the Parks Victoria. They're the same, probably have the same attitude as National Parks and Wildlife Service in New South Wales. And I have to say, and I feel quite ashamed of myself, that I knew nothing about these cullings. And that goes right back to media, whether it's alternate or independent media. and legacy media or mainstream media. Nothing really about this at all. And even now in New South Wales, no one's talking about it except, us and a few smaller reporters or journos. But the rest aren't even talking about it, except I saw a couple of stories on legacy media which they made it look like the people who were defending the Brumbies were, they're good people, but maybe haven't got the full sandwich of the cut lunch there, but they're okay, I suppose. Listen to the science. Science says this, and government says this. Was it the same in Victoria? Do you have that? There's no real reporting at all?
Well, very much. Actually, that's not quite true, because I did see quite a lot of articles. So The Age, for instance, carried something like 10 anti-Brumby articles early on. And I only know that because someone bothered to count them and said, well, that's the 10th article that you put out that's anti-Brumby. And, you keep dismissing the likes of us as a sandwich short of a picnic. I'd like to think I'm the full sandwich, but, I don't know about Carol. How you going? But, we are disappointed with the media coverage. I personally tried to avoid the cameras. Carol sort of dragged me in today. I didn't really want to come, but anyway, I'm here.
You have a great face for radio.
Yeah, thanks. We have been pretty disappointed. There's one particular guy, a guy called Dean Marsland. I don't know if you've had him on yet.
Yep.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job of getting the message out there and actually conveying just the misinformation that's coming from the anti-Brumby mob. We've actually met the shooter, and we've actually met a handful of people, and sort of they make some semi-reasonable points. But the shooters are in it for the money. They're not particularly caring one way or the other, I guess. We've very much. Dean's done a fantastic job, and he's been attacked by Parks Vic and Parks New South Wales, just for pointing out their misinformation. Our main job, we sort of saw it, I see it, is just sort of gathering some of this information. The likes of Dean are the ones that promote it and put it out there, and he does an amazing job, really, pointing out just how untruthful some of this stuff is. They claim all this environmental damage, and I read one guy said, 2 horses is too many. Well, what about your 2 feet, mate?
In New South Wales, they, after saying that the horses are destroying the environment, which they're not, they are the environment. But after saying this, I think 2 or 3 days later came out some PR from the state government saying that they're going to invest, I think it's $16 or $30 million into building new walking paths. And I thought, what the hell are you talking about? That's just nuts. And the real damage is done by in KNP, Kosciuszko National Park.
Yeah, Carol's got a good story.
It's done by Snowy too. But as for the horses destroying the environment, as with the Bogong High Plains and other parts of Australia, they are the environment, and they are a great mitigator for fire management, because they eat the undergrowth, so the fuel isn't there to create massive wildfires. Which is going to happen anyway. It's going to be some big fires throughout Kosciuszko National Park. And you look at Victoria's history too, some of the fires were caused by the high fuel load because of the Victorian government and associated with trying to tell us how they're going to run the planet, and they can't run it very well. Just going to destroy it in the process of trying to save it.
Yeah, well, luckily we haven't had a fire since was it 2019 was the last one here.
That's huge. Yeah.
That was bad enough. I mean, we're not in a rush to get another one, thank you, if we don't mind.
That destroyed the Bogong High Plains, that fire. We can't even ride through the country up there anymore because of all the dead timber and all the regrowth. It's just, it's crazy how, it's just a moonscape up there. It's horrible. It's not like I remembered when I first started going up there when I was 17. So, that you were saying about building walkways and that, well, currently they're trying to get pushed through a walkway from Hotham through to Falls Creek. Now, this will be a raised metal walkway that will have to be cemented in all the way from Hotham to Falls Creek. In the middle of that, they will build a little accommodation area with a meals area. So this is environmentally acceptable. Why? I mean, the damage that's going to be done just trying to build this thing is incomprehensible. It's just crazy.
It is. It's absolutely terrible. Just quickly, because I've gone way over, but I do that often. So
yeah.
I'll get back. But nothing like a good chin wag, is there?
Yes.
What is a good cup of tea and probably an Anzac biscuit would help. How many horses do you think are actually there now in the Bogong High Plains? How many do you think are left?
We think zero. Well, there might be some left, but put it this way, we go up there regularly enough. I mean, you can only be there so much. The last few trips, we really haven't seen any sign of horses. Now we know roughly where the shooters have been. We find the carcasses, like I say. The numbers that they claim were there, and then the numbers that we find dead are totally disparate. I mean, the last lot we found was about 11, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that, and they were just off the track. We're going to say there's zero left. I think it's very unlikely that you're going to find much else that's in the park itself. There's some private property where people have actually been sort of harbouring them and keeping them away from the shooters because they're not allowed to shoot on private property. But yeah, unfortunately, sadly, part of our history we think is gone.
Zero amount of the Young's horses anyway.
I think Australia.
Apparently Dean knows where a mob of probably 60 were rounded up with helicopters and ran into a valley where shooters were waiting, and they opened fire and shot them all at once.
They need to be in the bush, because I'm from the bush originally. You'd have a quiet conversation behind a shed with some of these people, and they are. Yes. They're I'm actually speechless. They're bullies. They're evil people. I don't give a rat's if they've been told to do it. They're doing it for money. They have got no right to determine our future. No. They have no right extinguishing our past. And I think Australia, and no matter what we say, we earned this amount, or we've got that digital thing, or whatever, I think Australia, as we would say, and you would agree, is in deep shit. And
I think Australia's gone.
Look, the misinformation, I guess you'd call it, about the damage that the demonisation of Brumbies, when basically they were what fought the wars for us back before it got mechanised. So that was back in First World War and the Boer War, I think. The demonisation of the Brumbies and the supposed damage they do. You should see the mountain bike park here in Omeo that's now basically destroyed our family farm a bit. It's the hypocrisy surrounding this thing and the claims that the Brumbies are somehow are really bad. thing for the environment when they can come in with excavators and really ruin the place. I really struggle with the things that they've said about how bad they are.
Yeah, we have to go. I apologise because we had other people waiting, and they've been very patient.
Yeah, I can see them sitting there.
Yeah, and I have people in the studio waving at me like, "You're talking too much." But I do that, and I enjoy it, and I appreciate your time. It's just been fantastic. Carol and Charles, if somebody wants to find out more about, I can see Carol having all these social accounts, maybe not, but if they wanted to find out more about the Bogong High Plains or yourselves and what's been done to it, how do they do that?
We have got a Facebook page, but they're welcome to contact me via Facebook or my phone number. Yeah.
Dean actually carries an awful lot of stuff about the High Plains. He came up with us a couple of times, and
he's very good, Dean. He's
he's really
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This is the Country Telegraph.
Kona Creek's 46,000 acres, but it's not about the scale, it's about the project you're working on that day. It's breaking the problem down into small bits, solving that problem, and then moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and then also the patterns are all the same. It doesn't matter how big, small the place is. You're looking for the same patterns everywhere in Australia. Whether you're a high rainfall or a low rainfall, it's the same patterns, just a different landscape.
We're Ra and Tina Briggs, Kona Creek, west of Springshaw. We are fortunate that we've got these watersheds. It's important to have a whole of system approach to it because it all fits together,
And it's really important that you have a plan. So our plan was we started at the top, but everything that you do has a flow-on effect, and we are seeing that flow-on effect. We do want to restore the wetland that's in the bottom, and Ra's put in quite a few check banks. We've slowed that flow, the water backs up, there's been a level of deposition and biodiversity, growth, like the birds and the trees and the plants, and underneath the trees it's all beautiful and green and it's cooler.
Yeah, that's right. And little projects like a food foresty type situation or a wetland, they don't take up much room. We're talking tenths of a % of area. So why not? Why not do something that's a bit of fun and a learning experience as well? And I say the words give something back, but we're gaining much more than we're giving.
So by doing this, that's our way to make sure that every acre does count. So when it comes to reading the landscape, for us, in the beginning, Ra had done heaps of research into ways of making the land better, and that's when he came across natural sequence farming. When we got back from Tarwin Park training, as we drove in, we were looking at the landscape with very different eyes from when we left, but still unsure of where to start, and that's when your analysis paralysis sets in, but that's not an excuse for not starting.
It's very easy to get lost in the detail, especially when you fire up a machine and start pushing dirt. So having a clear objective, whether you get it flying around or walking around or what, you need that start, middle, finish.
Make a decision and start.
Everyone loves the environment. Nobody wants to live in an eroded landscape, drought-ravaged hellhole. We all want nice things, and this has become our major drought reduction strategy. So I feel like I've discovered my life's work, improving this place, and
the results that we're seeing are amazing.
And driving big yellow machines is fun too.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Next week we become the Pulse from Tuesday. Aussie Hay Runners, founded by Linda Widdop, brings hope to people in their time of need, organising deliveries of invaluable feed in response to drought and natural disasters. In fact, Linda will be going to heaven. Put in a good word for me. And my friends too, we could do with all the help we can get. Now, Linda founded Aussie Hay Runners in 2019, starting out with just 4 trucks, delivering hay to help farmers feed their livestock. Now, the voluntary organisation now has more than 70 trucks it can call on, clocking up millions of kilometres and delivering over 90,000 bales of fodder to farmers and others needing a helping hand. This week, a large convoy will descend on several locations from Cooma to Queanbeyan to Braidwood, Majors Creek, to deliver free hay to the sanctuaries and other feeding points for the Brumbies. Rachel McDonald, founder of Telgarth Farm and a member of New Dawn Safe Haven, and Jake Baker of Aussie Hay Runners are here to tell us. First of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Tell me, it's a great idea, but I'll ask Jake this one first of all. Jake, who came up with the idea and the logistics? Because you're part of the whole thing. The logistics are just enormous.
Yeah, that's right, mate. So we were reached out to members of people up around that Cooma area that are saving Brumbies. They've reached out for a bit of assistance. Obviously, there's a lot of views on what's going on with the Brumbies. There's a lot of talking points about it, and there's a lot of people against it, a lot of people for it. But at the end of the day, yeah, our job is to make sure that we get animals fed.
Yeah, it's incredible. Rachel, you would have been beyond excitement when you found out about this, and how important are things like this to help? I mean, it's people like yourselves and the entire industry trying to save the Brumbies' lives.
It's exceptionally important, Mike, and I just want to thank Jake and Linda and a few of the others that I've spoken to about this. And it is a logistic exercise, getting all of these trucks through these towns and trying to get support along the way. But it means that we can now concentrate on saving more Brumbies. So because of everything that Jake and Linda have done for us, we have now taken on another 7 into our sanctuary here. So, and that just means that we can feed them now through the summer. But for people around this area, people that are up north that aren't getting, so the trucks are stopping here at Majors Creek and then they've got to go back. I believe, Jake, you can tell me if I'm wrong, and then do another hay run further north for the farmers. But for us here around the Braidwood area and even into Sydney, people are coming and picking up these bales to take them to sanctuaries or where we have Brumbies that are in need. So it's a really, really important thing, and we are so very thankful for everything that Aussie Hay Runners are doing for us.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? I have to say, I'm just beyond all. I think it's magnificent. Jake, tell us about what is planned for the day.
Yeah, mate. So we're going to all meet on Friday night down at Rosedale, I believe. We'll be up early and leaving. We do plan to be in Cooma at about 1 o'clock for lunch. We do have roughly about 20 trucks, I believe. We've got a handful of utes to get into those hard to get places. And then from Cooma we will head off to separate different sanctuaries and private properties to the people that are in need of this fodder.
Jake, can you tell me how many sanctuaries and horses will benefit, or is that more of a question for you, Rach?
I think it's probably more me, Mike.
Okay.
So we've got a depot happening at Cooma, and there's a lot of sanctuaries around the Cooma area that we'll be picking up from Cooma. And we have 2 deliveries up here around the Braidwood area. So one to Telgarth Farm and then one to Billy Dean's sanctuary. But the Telgarth Farm is a depot, so that other organisations, other sanctuaries can come, or other people that have Brumbies can come and pick up these amazing deliveries that are being organised through Aussie Hay Runners. So all in all, there would be more than 12
organisations, sanctuaries and people homing Brumbies that are receiving these bales, but then we are also able to be reached out to for anybody that has Brumbies that might be doing it hard. We're working into a really hard summer, Mike, so we need to make sure that we have enough hay to keep all of these Brumbies safe that are coming out of the park for the next 6 to 12 months, and the Aussie Hay Runners are doing an amazing job to help us do that.
Jake, you'll be happy to know there's a barbecue planned. You know you have to leave some for everybody else. It's a great idea. And what this does, it brings the community together also. Do you know much about the barbecue, or is this another Rachel question?
No, the barbecue is organised by the Lions Club, mate. So, we're heavily associated with the Lions Club, and they are very giving to us. They support us in a lot of aspects, a lot of things we do. They do, generally speaking, wherever we sort of end up, they normally end up feeding us, which is fantastic because, it is a bit difficult for them, especially when we do have sometimes up to 60, 70 trucks.
I hope it's like a Bunnings. I mean, I always refer to Bunnings as one of the great restaurants in every city because they've got those barbecues. And all you want is a snagger, bit of some onion maybe, not ketchup. Ketchup's for the Americans. You got to have sauce, and no mustard, and white bread. I mean, that's a pretty swisho barbecue. Rach, are the barbecues like that, or are they going to be a little more posher?
I think so. The Lions Club always put on an amazing feed wherever we have the Lions Club, whether it be not Bunnings, but they also support some of the rides that go into the parks as well, and that the feed has been amazing. So I would expect just a little bit more than a sausage with an upside down onion on it, because we don't need to have slips everywhere.
My wife tells me off. I say, let's go to Bunnings and buy something useful. And it'd be a hammer or a saw. No, a sausage.
A sausage and a sandwich.
You can tell Jake that I'm all class. But at least I admit it. I love my snagger with a bit of onion, upside down onion, and sauce and white bread. It's just absolutely magnificent. You can keep the lobster. Rach, who would you like to thank?
I would certainly like to thank Linda and the Aussie Hay Runners, and I know that, Jake, you are leading some of the convoy up to me, so I'm really looking forward to meeting you on Saturday at the barbecue, and then we can talk about all of the logistics of getting these trucks in and out of these two sanctuaries where you're coming to up at the Braidwood space. We've got a lot of community support. We've got a lot of local council support around this area too, in regards to putting this out there on their pages as something to look forward to, because we'd love to have everybody in the community out there waving at the trucks as they go past. It's not often that you get 20 trucks coming up into Cooma and then 7, 8 trucks coming out and into our little town of Braidwood. So definitely the Hay Runners, Linda for all of her organising, Mandy Finelli and Brumby Bell, who've also organised a lot of this for the Brumbies, and Jake and every single one of the truck owners and truck drivers who are going to be part of this massive convoy. It really does make such a massive difference to what we can do for these horses.
Would you ever believe, Jake, that I could say that all these truck drivers, including yourself, will go to heaven? Maybe not, but if you do get there, put in a good word for me, because I think you guys, you just keep doing it. You're doing so much good for the country, and we can all take a leaf out of your book. I mean, you are, and Linda and the whole crowd, just not only for the Brumbies, but for the entirety of this country. We do owe you a great debt, and thank you for reminding us what Australians should be really like. And pat on the back there. I'd buy you a beer, but 2 reasons. 1, I can't because I'm not there, and 2, I'm a tight ass. So I drink it myself. Sorry about that. I use a terrible word.
I'll shout him a beer.
Good on you. What about me?
I'll send you a beer, Mike.
No, the postie will drink it again. Look, I've got to thank both of you, Rachel and Jake. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, by the way, if somebody wants to find out more about what's happening, how do they do that, Rach?
So there is an Aussie Hay Runners page. There's an event that you can go and have a look at. There's a discussion as part of that event that shows the route that all of these teams, these truckers, men and women are coming along from Rosedale, as Jake said, right through to Braidwood and then out into our sanctuaries. So I would go to Aussie Hay Runners and have a look at the event that's happening on the 15th. It's a really amazing thing.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Jake, again. Rachel, thank you always. And we need to, because we're getting a few comments suggesting that we've taken a path we shouldn't have taken. Truly, as with you guys, it is only about the Brumbies. And anything else associated with it that doesn't help the Brumbies can go to buggery. That's what I think. And have a sausage. Maybe that will help them. And I think Rach knows what I'm talking about. Jake, Rach, thank you so much for your time. This is the Country Telegraph.
Management was deciding in the dark. We lacked a method to hear from people across the organisation. We started using instant polls under our brand. Their expert design templates made it effortless to ask the right questions of the people who matter most, our frontline teams. We've seen improved profits and happier staff, and we now make better company decisions thanks to Instant Polls. Join us. Try your first free poll at Instantpolls.online.
And will always love you.
Hee-haw, hee-haw, he always calls me donkey. And we're going to do more with donkeys too. They are so intelligent and so gorgeous. So at the moment, my wife has requested, we need a ranch, or the Americans would say, or a very large piece of land, because probably about 30,000 acres would help, or hectares. Because so far we have 2 miniature cows, a couple of Brumbies thrown in for good measure, a herd of donkeys, don't forget the geese, the emus, all those. So they're all being collected, and all we need is a big wooden boat. Sorry, I'll go to hell for that one. And some are wishing that we go to hell too at this stage, but what do they say? Have a Bex, have a good lie down. Cup of tea would help. That's about it for the Country Telegraph. Thank you so much to all of our guests. Thank you to our audience. You are, as always, much appreciated and brilliant. And we always leave the show with this particular track, because this song entirely says it all. Until tomorrow, have a great one. And don't forget, next week, the Pulse.today. We kick that off. Similar stuff, more programming. It'll be in the afternoon, repeated. It'll be on the app very shortly. The whole thing on your TV. And we just want to do, truly, we have to do good. It's as simple as that. Take care. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.
Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mirror I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Brumby hoofprints etched for generations in the snow. I've watched the foals become the mares, the stallions old and slow. Here in the snowy mountains, where my life began. Across hills, ridges, and open plains, my fellow Brumbies ran. I've led them through winter storms, drought and summer rain, but I can't outrun what follows now. Shield my family from this pain. My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace, the Snowies are my clan. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foe I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain. The sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound. Though every instinct tells me run, there's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I don't know the reason. I hear the echo of final sound, deadly thunder overhead as I fall upon the ground. Thunder again and again, my heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here, my grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home, the snowy mountains were ours. Tell my foe I knew her fear. Tell my mare I heard her call. Tell my fool I tried to save them. Tell the wind how Brumbies fall. Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mare I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said